Well, after 18 interviews, the Philadelphia Eagles land on Sean Mannion. I thought it was Minion, but Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard is the passing game coordinator. Good afternoon. Appreciate all coming aboard with us. Super chats go to the top. Please hit the like button and thank you very much. What an absolutely awesome storyline for Big Sills to dive into here. So this is what and how I'm going to treat this, okay? I'm going to treat this exactly like an NFL draft pick. You know how many people do this and they say, oh, the Eagles hit a grand slam in this pick. Well, you don't really know if you hit a grand slam until you see the guy play. So that's what we're going to kind of do here with Sean Mannion, your brand new OC. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of tell you who he is. And then you tell me what the indictment is. And I'm going to tell you what I think this means towards Nick Sirianni. Okay? All right. What if I told you that you hired an offensive coordinator that's been a coach in the NFL for 24 months? Sean Mannion has been a coach in the National Football League for 24 months. 24 months. You have a new offensive coordinator who's never called a play, who's never been in charge of an offense. 24 months, he's been a coach. That's who the Eagles landed on as your offensive coordinator. I mean, this is a gargantuan swing. Hey, and for the record, I don't know if the guy's going to suck. They may think he's the next Sean McVay. Okay? That's okay. Well, wait a minute here. Wake up, Sills. That's why they hired Grizzard. So wait, let me ask you this. Okay, look, get this. You guys are taking it like I'm ripping a guy when I said that Sean Mannion has been a coach for 24 months in the NFL. You're the ones indicting him, not me. I'm telling you who he is. He's been a quarterback coach, and he's been an assistant coach on a staff. Former player, as my buddy Xander said yesterday, not every player turns out to be a great play caller or a great coach. Some go on to greatness, like Mike Vrabel. They do. I'm not indicting. I'm identifying. I tried to look his resume up. He's only been a coach for 24 months. Okay? 24 months. There's no resume. Jordan Love had a good year. Play caller there is Matt LaFleur. So, okay. He works with the quarterbacks. Kevin Patullo worked with the quarterbacks. I'm not seeing the massive upgrade. Okay, so can I tell you what I believe this is? This is the first time that I'm going to make this comment. I think this is Nick Sirianni, and I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles doing this. Hey, guys, you want to get Nick Sirianni out the door? Go ahead, Nick, make the hire. Because Josh Grizzard and Sean Mannion, if those are Nick's guys, I mean, I got to say that 2026 is a year that is going to define or it's going to exit Nick Sirianni. Because if they turn around and have a great offense in 2026, Nick's going to solidify himself as one of the best coaches in the league. If this thing falls flat on its face, Nick Sirianni will be fired by the end of the year. So guess who now has been put on? Well, you know how everyone was saying that the coordinator job was that it's a hit or miss, whether you're going to be an NFL head coach or you're going to be fired? I think this is where Nick is now. Dude, this is a massive reach. I'm not telling. Look, it's a reach in resume. And again, I'm not indicting the guy. I don't know the guy. I don't know if he could do the job. I have no idea. Nor does anybody. I'm just saying you hired a guy who's never done anything except sit in the room. He's not been in charge of anything. By the way, I've heard great things about the dude. I've heard a lot of people think the guy, he's got a photographic memory. They say that he is a dude that was born to be a coach. Okay. Hey, all of that stuff is great until you get into a game and you actually have to have a plan. That is yet to be determined. So right now, some of you are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, which means you're going to give the Eagles the benefit of the doubt. And the last couple of years when they've made these calls with inexperienced play callers, they failed in their eyes. By the way, let's first start out with how this benefits the quarterback. How does hiring a guy with no experience help Jalen Hurts in the offense? Anybody? How does this guy help Hurts? Okay? So Elizabeth says have to start somewhere. So you're going to start somewhere with a Super Bowl MVP, with a guy who's never called plays, and the head of the snake, the quarterback, knows more than the coordinator will ever know. Sounds like it's backwards to me. You at least want to hire a person that's going to help the guy elevate his game and know more or as much as the quarterback. No? Hey, once again, I want this to be clear. I don't know if he's going to be good or not. I just know that, to me, he's been a coach for 24 months. He's had 2 jobs. And in 24 months, he's ascended to being the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. That's quite a climb in a short period of time. I didn't know the Packers had some sort of explosive offense. We needed variety. Too many paisans, too chummy. How you doing? Too many paisans. I think the Eagles are hoping with both hires that they could come up with a good game plan for Jalen. Okay? See here. Sills, this hire was not for Hurts. Clearly. I've told you this. Bob, they don't hire coordinators for Jalen. They hire him for Nick. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't look good on paper. I didn't say, wait a minute. I said it looks inexperienced on paper. I'm not telling you he's not talented. Okay? I'm not telling you. I first heard the hire, but I'm liking it more and more. All right, Michael, why are you liking it more and more? Why are you liking it more and more? Like, what's the upside of Sean Mannion? What's the what's the upside? He's young. Give me a positive. Y'all say rebuild? Well, this has got nothing to do with personnel. Okay? This is not anything to do. So here, he's an ex-quarterback. Okay? He could be that vet in the room that he missed this past year. I thought Jalen Hurts always said that Tanner McKee is awesome to have behind him. A playing experience has no impact as a play caller. None. Preparing for the position and then preparing under guys like McVay on how you prepare Yes, that I will agree with. Him being a former player means jack shit to me because he wasn't a very good one. Him preparing in Sean McVay's system does at the end of the day, that does make me have hope. Other than that, playing time means nothing. Give me one asset that he has. He helped Malik. No, that was Matt LaFleur. So wait a minute. Are you guys saying what the quarterback coach that Jalen Hurts has? You don't give any credit to him when Jalen Hurts is successful. Now you're giving Sean Mannion credit for Jordan Love having or Malik Willis having success? And Scott Loeffler, the quarterback coach in Philadelphia, doesn't get any or accountability for what happened last year? So how much do you think that Scott Loeffler, the quarterback coach in Philadelphia, has when it comes to the failures of the offense this past year? So the quarterback coach, you think, really has that much say in how a quarterback prepares? Okay. Not heard that one before. Will Sean have more say on the play calling, Sills, or no? I think he's going to. I think this is the end of Sirianni if this fails. I think the guy that'll be fired, the guy who'll be fired at the end of the season is Nick. If this thing blows up and looks like shit, Nick's fired. They may fire his ass during the year if this thing blows up. Sills, this is Nick's all or none. Best case, Mannion does what Kellen Moore did and ends up leaving. Worst case, missed the playoffs, and Nick's out completely. Scott's out. Okay. Didn't know that. Thanks for the update. A positive is that it's outside of Nick's circle. Positive is it's outside the box. It's outside the box. This is completely outside the box. I mean, dude, this guy has nothing to offer on a resume. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good. Don't get it confused. I don't know on January 30th if this guy's going to be good or bad. How could I? I'm going by who he is. You're going by what he may be. Anything you say about Sean Mannion, who I barely even heard of, think he's a quarterback out of Oregon? Got drafted, third round guy? Okay. I don't know what to say about him because there's not much to say about him. What's the likeliness of really seeing McVay concepts in our offense? 0. That will be a tailgate sign to see how much they move off of Nick's system. They're not putting anything from Sean McVay's passing offense in this thing. By the way, let me ask you something else. Does Sean Mannion make A.J. Brown feel better about coming back and wanting to play here? Absolutely not. So you're going to have an inexperienced play caller with a wide receiver who's bitching about the offense being stagnant the last 2 years, and you've gone to the playoffs and you've won a Super Bowl. A.J. Brown can't be happy about this hire. What type of route concepts is he going to come up with for AJ? Sills, listening to another outlet, they say Mannion has full autonomy to run the offense. Okay? I guess. So you're going to give full autonomy to a guy who's been a coach for 24 months. I mean, wow. What a swing. Boy, it's almost like to me, it has a feel like the Eagles are doing this. Hey, Nick, sink or swim. It just has a feeling sink or swim, Nick. Like, Nick, all right, you want the call? You want this to be? Yeah, 24 months. Photographic memory. Great. Glad he can retain things. Most quarterbacks can. Get this. There's like nothing you can say about the guy because nobody knows. Big Sills, if you have to hire OC for Nick, not Jalen, why not fire Nick? What do you possibly think that a guy who's had a job for 24 months is going to bring to Jalen Hurts? Creative thinking? He played the position? Here's what you guys have said so far. He played the position, and he's got a photographic memory. Okay. And he's a first-year guy. Okay. What else? Sills followed this. Eagles hired Mannion. Eagles trade Tanner. Eagles signed Willis. Hurts is on the clock. No trade. $50 million. That's not how that's going to work. What? Photographs from his memory, obviously. Not even Embrace has anything positive to say about the guy because he doesn't know. Hey, Flexen, I'm not sold. How could you be? Sold on what? Their word? Okay. The only way you're sold on this deal here is if you take them at their word. There's no other way. I mean, I'm not taking anybody at their word. I got to see more. I mean, take them at their word for what? A guy who's been a coach for 24 months? I'm not taking anything for that. I've never heard of such a thing. Now, Xander brought a great point up about Kellen Moore getting that job in Dallas with Mike McCarthy because he got that job right away. Once he stopped playing, they put him in as a special assistant. I think it took him like 3 years, though, to become the offensive coordinator. Mike relinquished his duties. I think Kellen became a coach for like around 3 years, maybe. Could have been sooner. Here's the elephant in the room. Jalen is bored with Nick's offense. Whether he can run a different scheme is yet to be seen, but he definitely is sick and tired of the straitjacket. Yeah, but, hey, Paulie, how in the world are you going to give Jalen Hurts and design an offense for Jalen Hurts when, one, you've never been in a dual threat situation before, you've never coached this style of quarterback, and you've been a coach for just a couple months. And now you're the OC of the Eagles? They hired Josh Grizzard for a reason. Now, I kind of – it's like a fail-safe. It feels almost like the real guy they wanted to hire was Josh Grizzard for the coordinating job. Because I get Josh Grizzard. I think he was a scapegoat in Tampa. I don't mind that hire, actually. They got away from the run game a little bit because they lost Bucky Irvin. I covered the Bucs this year, as many of you know. And to me, I don't think Grizzard was that bad. If you look at the first 6 games, they were 6-1. And they had beaten Houston. And they had beaten Seattle. Remember, Josh Grizzard was the OC that went up to Seattle and they won. So it's almost like, to me, the guy they really wanted for the offensive coordinating job is the former Buccaneer OC, Josh Grizzard, because Josh worked with Mike McDaniel down in Miami. That's his coaching tree. The guy they really wanted was probably Mike McDaniel. Well, Josh worked with Mike McDaniel. So it's kind of, Mike McDaniel's dude. And I do too. I think it's smart to hire him. I think the job, it wasn't the offense. The offense had a ton of injuries on the team this year. The problem with the Buccaneers this year was their sorry-ass defense. They couldn't get any pressure. They couldn't cover. And their linebackers suck. If Mannion proves to be good, can we see the Eagles pushing Nick out and making him the head coach? Eagles can't keep going through this process every 1-2 years. It'll just empower the Eagles front office to do this more and more. And see, they'll go like this. See, I told you so. Remember, owners like to be smarter than coaches. And Jeffrey Lurie likes to think that he's the guy in the room that makes all these decisions, that makes the Eagles roll. Not the coaches, not the players, the owner, by moving all the pieces around. That's why Bob Kraft next week is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and why they didn't put Belichick in. It's why they put Jerry Jones into the Hall of Fame and not Jimmy Johnson first. Owners want to be the smartest guy in the room. Terry Pagula running over Sean McDermott. Steve Bisciotti in Baltimore running over John Harbaugh. Owners like to look like the smartest guys in the room. That's why, again, this will empower Nick. I mean this too on Nick. This is more about Sirianni than about Sean Mannion. Sean Mannion, I mean, what the hell are you going to talk about him? What? His 24 months in the NFL as a head coach with no position coach whatsoever, really, when it came to calling plays? What do you want me to say about him? He's good looking? What? There's nothing really to say. It's a huge swing. I give him credit for taking the swing. They will be out of a job if failed, doesn't matter. Okay? Coaching only matters so much. Always players first. Completely true. But in the NFL, coaching matters. This is Lurie killing two birds with one ball. Maybe. I can totally see how people see it that way because I do too. This is Nick Sink or Swim 26. They're sick of this shit. They don't want to go through this any longer. Either you have answers. This is Nick's point. And hey, you know what? Let me make this point to you guys. Remember I told you Nick had no answers for the San Francisco game and the playoff game? Well, this is Nick's chance to have an answer for the OC issues and the offensive issues. If he can't answer this and he can't fix this, he's out. Okay? I won't be surprised if we grab an interior guy in the first round this year. We need interior help. First world problems? Get this guy. You hired a guy that's been a coach for 24 months. By the way, folks, that's not a lie. That's a fact. That's your new offensive coordinator. The guy was almost as much experience as M. Reyes. Nick just sucks at offense. 49ers game exposed him bad. And I think that's exactly what the Eagle front office is looking. All right, Nick, you want to make this call? Okay, you want to make this call? It's on you. I mean, right? If this doesn't work, you think they will promote the OC that didn't work out? No. If Nick fails, they will hire another Nick. They won't hire someone with balls like Doug. Lurie will probably never will because of Chip Kelly. Correct. What would be a successful season? Putting yourself in a position to get to the NFC Championship game. After that, all bets are off. You don't know injuries, what have you. But giving yourself a chance, Marshall, to get to the NFC title game, I think that's a successful season for all teams. If you can get to the conference championship game. You never – like, look at Denver. Denver had a very successful season. I mean, their quarterback got hurt. And they were playing with a backup in an AFC championship game. That was a successful season. Injuries happen. Denver had a great year. Number 1 seed. Unfortunate that their quarterback got hurt. It's a swing for the fences. Gazard there in case shit hits the fan. Yeah. Get this. This is how I look at that. So you hire a guy who a year ago was not that bad. Josh Gazard. Not that bad with all the issues the Bucs had. And there were a ton of them. Okay? Defense sucked. The offense had massive injuries. Tristan Wirfs was not very good because of injuries. They lost both tackles for about 6 games. Mike Evans got a massive injury that hurt them. Mayfield was running for his life. There were a lot of things. They didn't have Bucky Irvin for 8 games. There were a lot of things in that offense a year ago that Josh kind of navigated it around. And I thought Gazard did a nice job. If this offense turns itself around because of the OC, how can we justify keeping a head coach that doesn't call any plays and going through the cycle repeatedly? I mean, I get it. You're right. Seals, my mock draft for the NFC East. Giants, Magala from Miami, Washington, Caleb Downs from Ohio State, Dallas, Fuke for the Eagles, and Proctor to the Philadelphia Eagles. Fuck the Cowboys, I get it. Yeah. Howie, stop with the analytics. Learn from the Vikings. They just fired their analytics GM. Said to get rid of Darnold. I know, get this. The general manager finally admitted that it was a mistake to get it's a mistake to get rid of Sam Darnold. Absolutely. I saw that earlier today too. GM came out in Minnesota and goes, yeah, maybe that wasn't the right thing. Analytics people made them move on from Sam Darnold. Can you imagine that? A guy with a protractor walked down to a personnel department and to a general manager and said, we're telling you that the odds of Sam Darnold being a better player next year for you here in Minnesota is highly unlikely. So they went with some sort of thesis instead of actually a football gut and a gut move and going, I think this guy's going to be okay. I think we're good. Nope. They went with the numbers. No, I got it. I know. They moved. They blew everybody out. They blew everyone out because of that move. And they had Daniel Jones too. I honestly think if this OC does his job, they'll find a way to keep the head coach. I agree. Either pushing Nick out or once the contract expires. Jesus criminy. For a guy that's 50 and 18, I've never seen people so not like their head coach. I'm just saying, if Jalen Hurts goes on an MVP run, does that mean Nick doesn't know what he's doing, Sills? Or is he just a great CEO? Prince, how about this? If this guy goes on an epic run and Jalen Hurts wins the Most Valuable Player Award, how in the world do you not know by now that the coach is going to be hit or miss and he's reliant on the offense coordinating hire? Which means this, every year is going to be up and down. Well, if I have a good coordinator, I'm a good coach. If I have a bad coordinator, I'm a bad coach because I have no answers. And he gets credit for hiring good coaches and heat for hiring shitty coaches. What a pendulum you're on. Do you want to live like that? You keep telling me Nick's a good coach. Well, how can Nick be a good coach when it's based his success on the coordinator? If the coordinator's not good, Nick's not good? Is that what you're telling me? Jesus, man. So what? The season relies on... So you're telling me right now, whatever Howie does, or whatever, all the things Howie does, yes or no, with personnel, it all comes down to what you just did on the 29th of January. Whether or not the coordinator's good. That's really wild. Then what analytics say about Hurts? Okay, simple. Don't throw the ball a lot. Don't turn the ball over. Don't throw across the middle of the field. Throw to the numbers. And if you're going to roll to your strong side, which is your right side. Those are the analytics on Hurts. I mean, analytics say Hurts wins 70% of his games. Really? Then why is your passing offense the worst? Let's see. 6, 7, 8, 29, 30, 31, 32. So this year was the 7th worst offense in the NFL. 7th worst passing offense in pro football. Year before that it was 5th. In the last 2 years, you've had the 5th worst offense in the pocket and the 7th worst offense in the pocket. Interesting how you look at shit. Interesting. Because he's going to get the boot. Twiz, if you're talking about Sirianni, okay, let's see here. Belichick never called plays. He was reliant on the OC. Well, who the fuck hired those guys? Bill did. Who do you think developed Josh McDaniels? Bill did. Josh McDaniels was developed by Bill Belichick. And by the way, that was Bill Belichick's hire, was Josh McDaniels. He developed him. He also developed Charlie Weiss, who won a Super Bowl. He also helped develop Romeo Crennel. Some of you people have no idea what you're talking about. Sills, would you bring Beck? I would not bring Becton back. I'm over that. Sills, would you draft an OT or bring back? I have an interest in bringing back Isaac Seumalo. Okay? People complain about the passing game, then complain about hiring 2 passing guys. Nobody's complaining. You hired a guy who's in the league as a coach 24 months. Complaining? I'm pointing out. Who's complaining? If you're listening to it that way as a complaint, I didn't tell you if he was going to fail or not. How the hell would I know? I'm just telling you who. What you don't like is me pointing out who he is. Hey, Sills, they say he's smart, right? Hey, Sills, they say he's got really an understanding of the game. Great. Has he ever called plays? No. How many months and years has he been a coach? 24 months. Okay? That's who he is. Seals, like Nick or no? No. I think he's a bullshit artist. Charlie Weiss was my Pop Warner coach. I love it. Hurts is proven and needs support on the offensive side of play calling because that's the only position that hasn't been consistent. Your favorite quarterbacks get the same play callers for years at a time. Yeah. Not in Philly. Sills, isn't this hire like Patullo Johnson? Yeah, completely. It's the same thing. Oh, wait. Yeah. But those guys had a little more time in the NFL as a coach. Yes. Can we see Hurts move around in the pocket and throw Sills instead of having Jalen in the pocket, move him around in the pocket? I've always said that. I'd like to see him out in the perimeter more, but I don't know if he throws all that hot and is all that accurate on the run. He does make some plays, though, on the sidelines. I'd like to always, I mean, when you're smaller, I'd like guys getting out. They don't do that a lot with him. And they really haven't done that a lot with him. Sills, Andy Reid never called plays prior to coming to Philadelphia. You know, right? Well, let me take a look at that for a second. I've seen that comparison a lot. Andy Reid. Let's see how many years Andy Reid was a coach before he became an offensive coordinator. Well, he couldn't be the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. Why? Because Mike Holmgren was. So he started his coaching in 1982. He ascended to the quarterback coach and assistant coach in 1997 with the Green Bay Packers. Then he became the head coach in 99. And that's where he started calling plays, really, the Andy Reid way. So it took him about what? It took him roughly 15 years to get that position for him to call plays. Okay. A little bit of a climb there for Andy to get to that role. How many years, too, did Andy Reid stay in the Mike Holmgren system? From 92 to 98. This guy's been a coach for 24 months. How is everyone making out in this snow? A lot of people telling me, man, it's crazy up north. Hurts is not a pocket passer. Just move him around. Use his mobility to throw the ball. Well, so Sean Mannion has coached that style before? Where? Let's see. Let me take a look at. Let's just go to Jordan Love. Take a look at Jordan Love. Jordan Love. See who he is. I'm trying to figure out who your guy is. So I'm just going on the fly here. So Jordan Love. And your quarter. Let's see here. He was, here it is. He became the quarterback coach in 2025, this last year. It's the only job he's ever really had. He was an offensive assistant, but that's a gopher gig. So let's see Jordan Love in 25, what he did. Okay. 66-3, 33-81, played in 15 ball games, 23 touchdowns, 6 picks. Let's see if he was dual threat. See how much rushing. Well, Jordan Love had 199 yards in 15 games. So I wouldn't call that no touchdowns. I wouldn't call that anything. Average about 13 yards a game. So Jordan Love's not really a dual threat guy. So quarterback's coming in dealing with a dual threat dude who doesn't want to be a dual threat person any longer. Okay? So far I'm not seeing the connection. Now then again, Kellen Moore didn't add up when they hired him. Remember something. Kellen Moore didn't utilize Hurts that year. He utilized Barkley more. Barkley was the linchpin. Barkley was the guy who touched the ball a ton. Hurts was kind of the caboose in that. 18 TD passes, 2,900 yards passing. The guy, the bell cow in that offense in 24 was Barkley. So he went away from Hurts. It's almost like Kellen Moore, the second dude in the huddle, was the quarterback. Okay, Malik Willis was dual threat. So you're giving all of the credit to Malik Willis's success in 2025 to Sean Mannion and not Matt LaFleur? I mean, okay, is that how you see it? We're going to see less of Barkley. Well, I think if you see less of Barkley, you'll win 7 games. Manning coached Senior Bowl and offense showed pre-snap motion and moving the pocket. We can only hope. Depending on who the quarterbacks were in that Senior Bowl, to me, that's not going to really tell you anything until he gets here. Remember, these guys are going to build the offense around Jalen's strengths and weaknesses. Only took 2 years. Must be something we don't see. No doubt. The Eagles Think he's a superstar. Absolutely. Ramir, no doubt. They are taking a gigantic swing. That guy's somebody special. They think he's special. They might be right. They completely could be right. But don't sit here and tell me you made a great hire. Based on what? Now, if you want to go down the conversation of, hey, Sills, would you rather have them take a big swing or take a safe swing? Depending if my job was in jeopardy. Why would Nick take a big swing like this? He's 50-18. There's some noise in the building on why you take gambles like this. This is a gamble. Nick must be hearing the whispers about his job. For a team that doesn't like to gamble and risk averse, how is this risk averse? Make that make sense. They believe in risk averse offense, right? So you hire a guy that's been a coach for 24 months? It doesn't make sense. Les Barkley? We seeing then, right? If I'm Sean, I'm calling Doug on the phone and asking him how was he going to improve Hurts had he stayed. Seals, every coach on earth would have rode Barkley last year. Yes. You have a run game averaging 3+ yards before contact. You run the ball in any scheme. Okay, that's true, David. But David, the passing game has been atrocious for 3 years. When you needed it this year, it wasn't there. You couldn't throw yourself out of trouble ever. So you're right. If your run game's not there, you're not winning ball games. You're just not. And you're not winning playoff games. Yeah, I can't wait until we get some 40-degree weather because Sills, you think Iverson would dominate the NBA today? I think Allen Iverson would dominate any NBA decade or year. Iverson's one of the greatest players that's ever played. I heard this, and it looks like the Winter Classic in the outdoor series. You guys have to see the rink. It's a treasure map on Sunday when they play the Bruins. You got to take a look at it. Unbelievable. It's got all the players' names like in coves and like what is it? Valensky. It's like Valensky Cove and all that. So I mean, yeah, they got a bunch of really great things in store for that Winter Classic on Sunday. Sills, do we give the O-line the benefit of the doubt? Yeah, I do. I let them get healthy. Yeah. Dude, Martin, yes. Do I think they're going to play shitty like that, all of them, this year? No. I do not. But here's the problem. Here's something that's really wild, though. So they fired Jeff Stoutland from being a run game coordinator after winning a Super Bowl and having the greatest running attack of all time. And they fired him six games into the 25 season. Who made that call? So you fired Stoutland. Here, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. So last year, after the Super Bowl, right? And I'm just going to go on the offensive side. You hired Kevin Patullo, replaced him because Kellen Moore leaves for the Saints, right? Zero play calling, right? 6 games in, reportedly, Jeff McClain, all these guys are saying Les Bowman, all them guys are saying roughly around week 6, Stoutland got demoted. So Kevin Patullo gets hired, no game experience. You demote Jeff Stoutland after game 6. Then you fire Kevin Patullo at the end of the year, and you hire a guy who's been the coach in Green Bay for only 24 months, and the Eagles name him your new OC. That's what you've done in your hiring on offense in the last year? I mean, is that not what's happened? Like I said, I don't even have an opinion on it. I'm just telling you, is that what they've done? So you hired a guy February 19th of last year. 11 days after you won the Super Bowl, you hired him, right? 6 games into the season, you demoted Jeff Stoutland, one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time. You fired Kevin Patullo 19 days ago. Now you hired a guy who's only been in the league 24 months as a coach. Man, wrap your head around that. So this is a boom bust move and a Sirianni hire. Mannion will go through growing pains. Hey, let me ask you this. You think Vic Fangio, when he came here, he went through growing pains? Or was it just figuring out his personnel? I don't think Vic had any growing pains on how to use people, do you? Shit, Zach Bond, he created him like he was Frankenstein. Kobe Dean turned his career around. Jordan Davis turned his career around. Jalen Hunt is developing into a player. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper are all pros. I don't remember Vic ever struggling and going through growing pains. Why do you have to on offense? What is that mentality? He's going to go through growing pains? This is the fucking NFL. This isn't junior varsity football. Why do the Eagles have to hire a guy going through growing pains? For what? You got a Super Bowl MVP. Hey, Sills, he's going to go through growing pains. Why in Philly? Maybe they wanted to see who was the problem. So you think the Eagles in the front office wants to self-sabotage their team? I find that hard to believe. Seals, who replacement comes first if you had to rank them? Lane, Goddard, or AJ? I think it's going to be AJ. So wait, also, the new coordinator, what if he loses AJ? And he's a first-time play caller, and you don't have AJ Brown in the building? Hey, good luck, man. What if Lane doesn't come back? Goddard's not coming back. Got Grant Calcaterra. Seals, Nick walked in the NovaCare complex this morning with a wheelbarrow to carry his balls on his OC hire. Let's see what Dumb Reyes says. I think a lot was done to have our defense be modeled after Fangio-like scheme. He didn't have to do much because he invented the bucket scheme. He invented it? So wait a minute. He invented the scheme. And get this, folks. What does Vic Fangio tell you all the time? Schemes don't do anything for you. Jimmy's and Joe's do. And that's why the team was wobbling in the beginning, because you couldn't cover anybody. You had no pressure. You added Jalen Phillips and it tied it all in together. They added Jalen Phillips. Was that shit personnel they had? All them stupid moves at corner you made in the offseason. All that stupid shit you told me, Emrys, about Keely Ringo. All that stupid shit you told me about how Nolan Smith was going to be a superstar this year. All that stupid shit you told me about how the cornerback position and the safety position would be all good. Turned out not to be true. None of it. Dave Wanstead said it on the program. Absolutely. Vic will never fail. Players in the system will fail. No way AJ's happy with this hire. No way he's happy. Hey, get this. So you're AJ Brown, new coordinator coming in. You're talking to Mike McDaniel. Guy spreads it around. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Guys are doing all that. You got Brian Dable, worked with Josh Allen, going to move Hurts around, get me open. Then you land on Sean Mannion, who's never called to play, and has got less experience than Kevin Patullo. If you're A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, how you feeling? So wait a minute, Mikey. Hey, and if some of you think I'm shitting on it, I'm just pointing out who it is and what it is. And if you think that's talking shit, you're hearing it that way. I don't know if the kid's going to be good. He might be. I said that. He might be the next Andy Reid. You're surely going to go into the year with a ton of questions instead of certainty. You got Josh Grizzard's the fallback. Well, why don't you just hire him as your offensive coordinator? I think that's kind of what it is. I do, Mikey. I think they hired two coordinators. They got the kid they like and the kid they know that can call plays and worked with Mike McDaniel. Josh Grizzard worked down in Miami with him and was the OC in Tampa Bay. The problem that you're going to get with Grizzard, my big focal point with him last year was in games, he got away from the run game a lot. They just got away from it. Now, I think that had a lot to do with the personnel that they had or didn't have on the field. Irvin was gone for a lot of the year. So they had the makeshift offensive run game. It wasn't great. It was like 24th or like 23rd or something in rushing. So they weren't really great. Passing wasn't awful. Red zone, I think they were pretty good in the red zone. I can't remember. Doesn't matter how good the new OC is. The quarterback doesn't want to run, can't throw the ball. Well, you got problems. So the reason I said growing pains was because he's never called plays in the NFL, not the talent. Once again, dude. Yeah. They were great until everyone. Yeah, they were. Bucks were at the top of like many, many categories. Many categories. Okay? Many categories. Thank you. So there's a lot of things pissed me off this year, but finding out about the demotion of the best offensive coach you have on offense, that was headed by two wide receiver drinking buddies, takes the cake. Disgraceful. Dude, I don't get the demoting of Jeff Stoutland. 6 games into your season, coming off one of the greatest years of all time. I don't get that. I mean, who made that call? Nick? Boy, this got, you know what this has all over it? This has Nick. You suck, you're fired. Nick, you win, this will solidify you here for the next 7 years. I think this is a crossroads in Nick Sirianni's career as a coach in Philly. You're either George Seifert or you're somebody like John Harbaugh or somebody like that, Mike Tomlin. We're going to find out. He's either going to be George Seifert or he's a product of the environment or that guy is going to be fired at the end of 26. Past records don't mean shit this year. That's what I think this hire says. I agree. Hey, this looks like Nick, and I didn't ever think he picked his coaches. Well, He didn't hire Vic. That was something that they were trying to do for years. Dolphins just got to him first. Why not? He won 2 Super Bowls in 105 games and 35 losses and was in 5 conference title games. And they fired him at the end. Because you want to try to tell me that Nick's some sort of savant. George Seifert did 10 times more than what Nick Sirianni ever did. And he got fired with a better record. Guy won 100 ball games in 8 years in San Francisco. So those records, how an organization sees you is completely different than how you see them. You see the record. The organization works with those guys. They know who they are. I saw Marty Schottenheimer win 14 ball games one year in San Diego. He went 14-2. They fired him. You know why? The general manager, A.J. Smith, and he debated on who to get rid of, Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers. Guess who Marty Schottenheimer wanted? Marty Schottenheimer wanted Drew Brees to stay in San Diego. And he wanted them to move Phillip Rivers. Well, if Drew Brees had stayed in San Diego, that team may still be there. And I liked Phillip Rivers, but Brees was the better quarterback. And they fired him over that. They were 14-2. And at this moment, Hurts' pick is a slam dunk for their success. It is. Jalen's been a slam dunk draft pick. You got to do better with coaching hires. Yeah. It's hit or miss. By the way, it's now become apparent on the on how the organization sees Nick. If you guys make a bad hire coordinator, Nick's bad. If you make a good one, Nick's good. Tells you right there. He goes by the way of the coaching staff. Shit, Kyle Shanahan, whether you have Steve Wilkes as your coordinator or Robert Saleh, they're going to win ball games. The 49ers are not, they're not predicated on whether or not you have a shitty coordinator or not. The Rams are not predicated on if you have a shitty coordinator or not. The Chargers are not predicated whether you have a shitty coordinator or not. The Eagles are. Think about that. Andy Reid, whether he has Eric Bieniemy or he has Matt Nagy, who cares? Andy Reid's there. So is any receivers you like that are in the draft? I'll do more of that. That kid out of Ohio State, I dig. And the Arizona State kid. So do you think next week Stoutland tells the Birds to F off? I sure hope not. So why do they keep Nick? Because he's a good guy in the room that institutes their game plan. Whatever they want, he installs it. Now, this hire kind of has it kind of looks like Press Taylor stuff. But it's like the front office gave Nick his way. Instead of fighting Nick on Press Taylor, like I'm using Press Taylor's name to make the point. It's kind of like they said, okay, Nick, you want this? This is you then. It just seems like that. Okay? Sileo can barely explain it because he spent so long shitting on Nick's duties. Get this. Anybody who can explain a coach who's been a coach in the NFL for 24 months as the new Eagle offensive coordinator, I want to hear it. Hey, I'm Reyes. You and your dumb-ass takes every freaking day. Explain to me how you give a job, one of the coveted jobs in the NFL, a guy who's been in the league 24 months as a coach, how you give him the OC keys. Tell me. I'll wait. Watch this one, guys. This will be the ultimate knee drag. I'd love to hear it. How do you give a guy the offensive coordinating job? How do you? Oh, no. How about this? You can go here too. How do you give a job to a guy that's been in the league 24 months as a coach? You explain it. Help me out. How do you do it? You're talking about Nick? I still think Nick's a putz. Oh, you're talking about Nick. Okay, well, Nick's simple to figure out. He doesn't have a good coach. He sucks. Because Green Bay is the only team to solve our current problem. Mediocre weapons, bad O-line, and a mobile quarterback and weak passing skills. Green Bay developed a plan that worked. Well, he didn't do that. Matt LaFleur did that. He was a dude in the... Dude, he's no smarter than Kevin Patullo. What makes you think he's a better coach than Kevin Patullo? On January 30th. Hey, let me ask that question. How many people in here think that Sean Mannion's a better coach than Kevin Patullo? How many people believe that? I don't. Shit, at least Kevin Patullo has called plays. Hey, by the way, I'm not telling you he's worse. I'm just saying, how can you make that conversation? And Reyes, you're an imbecile. I can't believe how bad we fumbled the bag post Super Bowl. I mean, like I pointed out, I want to show you an almost. It's not a year yet. Okay. I want to show you February 19th makes a year. You hired Kevin Patullo. This is your offensive hires that you've done that were significant. February 9th, you hired Kevin Patullo. 6 games into the 25 season, you demoted Jeff Stoutland. The end of the year, you fired Kevin Patullo like the Tuesday on Black Monday week. You fired his ass. Now you've hired a guy who's been in the league as a coach for 24 months. That's your process of where you got to right now on your coordinator changes. That's not an opinion. That's what you've done. How's that sound? And in the process, your offense has deteriorated, run game-wise, pass game-wise. It got a little better. Okay? Your 3-and-outs went from one of the best to one of the worst. And you thought you were going to fix it how? By hiring a guy who's never been involved in anything like that? Except sitting in the room like Kevin Patullo did. Okay, again, I want to make this clear. He may turn out to be Don Shula. Green Bay fans say Mannion is a head coach material. I was told Brian Johnson was. I was told Kevin Patullo was going to interview for the New York Giants job. You guys remember that little thing? That the Eagles contacted the NFL Network to put some bullshit story out? I thought Kevin Patullo was going to be interviewing for the New York Giants job. Remember that story? I remember it. It's a huge swing. Good for them. Put your head coach on the firing line. With this gigantic swing, this is on Nick now. Whether, he goes to the guillotine or not, this is on Nick. A+, bright-minded coach in the quarterback room. Solid coach for the passing game. A. Based on what? He's 24 months in the league? Okay. Hey, David. This guy's been a coach for 24 months. And where'd you come up with? He's bright. Okay. Bright-minded coach in the quarterback room. Not a bad take. Solid coach for passing game. How do you know that? He was a coach for 1 year with the passing game. 1 year. How do you know that? Are you assuming that given the benefit? Okay. I mean, okay. Look how Willis looked. Under him? You mean under LaFleur? Okay. Have faith. Have faith. That's a good one. Have faith. Is faith the plan? Hey, Leon, I got it. Like you said, Sills, why did they even fire Petula? Should have just kept his ass there. I see no difference. I don't either. And at least Kevin Petula had a year experience. He's in the room. AJ liked him. Devonta liked him. Everyone reveres him. Actually, has he been fired? Tab? Chicks drink tab. No one knows what Mannion is. Will be. Correct. That's my problem. I'm leaving it at that for now. Okay? Head coach and quarterback one, give me a lot bigger questions to resolve. So then you agree with me, Dime, when I said the Kevin Petula hire or fire, whatever, was a meaningless fire. I think he had personnel issues. So here, they lost Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans, and a shitload of personnel on offense for a first-time play caller. I don't think he did poorly. I think Todd Bowles did. Todd Bowles' defense was the reason the Bucs didn't make the playoffs. Offense was shaky at times. They got a little bit away from the run game. But again, as I said, Bucky Irving got injured, and he wasn't there for about 8 games. That really hurt the Bucs. They were 6-2 at one time. Then the injuries came, and they fell apart. Playing pretty good ball. They beat the Texans. They beat Seattle. They've got some pretty good victories on that schedule that they took care of business. They beat Carolina, who beat the Rams. Carolina playoff team. They just wobbled because of injuries. I don't think Josh Grizzard's a bad hire. I don't. Actually, I like that hire more than I do this thing. I do. If AJ stays, the guy has influence in the playbook. If AJ goes, zero change coming. I hope he knows how to call it with rhythm. That's what we missed most. Sills, LaFleur glazed donut Mannion. If he was all that, why did he watch him walk out the door? Yeah, well, he wants to give him look, a lot of those coaches, Mr. Hill, want to give guys opportunities at advancing. You become an offensive coordinator, that's a big deal in your resume. And especially, here's the impressive thing about the hire, how young he is. See, Nick must have seen something in him. Now, remember something. Nick respects Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur was in that Shanahan coaching staff in Washington. Let me take a look at something here. Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, Washington staff. Okay, so Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Raheem Morris, we're all on that coaching staff. 2010 to 2013. Josh Grizzard worked with Josh McDaniels in Miami. And Sean McVay was also in that staff. So they've worked with all that, okay? They've worked with all that. Big Sills, if we don't live up to expectations and Nick is fired next year, I can easily see us hiring Cliff. Eagles always have contingency plans. The contingency plan, in my opinion, the contingency plan, okay? The contingency plan is Josh Grizzard here if this kid fails. I don't know if he will. Big Sil, yes. Mannion is moving up quickly to even for an OC, Sills. He's a very, very young, and most guys ascend to coordinator in their late 30s, not early 30s. It shows he's a lot of potential. Just depends on his plan. How about this? I completely agree with everything you're saying, K-Gun. Potential means he hasn't done it. Correct? Okay? I have no problem with anything you said there. As a matter of fact, I endorse what you say. But when you say the word potential to me in anything in life, you haven't done it. And if you're going with the potential, this is like a draft pick. Tell the people who the guy is right now. It's all I'm saying. He might be the next Andy Reid. Seals, did you hear the salary cap jump projected 301 to 305? That's a lot of money for teams. Well, it is. But here's the problem. Salaries are escalating at a 26% clip compared to the cap raising 19%. The salaries are outpacing the increase in the cap. So market value for players in free agency this year is going to continue to escalate. Position players like that Milton Williams deal you saw a year ago at 26, that's now going to float up to around 28.9. So all those positions, remember, when the cap raises, salaries raise. So it's outpacing the cap's raise. 305 is a nice number. I think it was, what was it? 290 something, 289. So it's going to go up roughly around $7 million. Right? $17 million, I think it is. It's going to go up. So the salaries and the escalation of the salaries is still outpacing. Okay? It's still outpacing. Any real head coach candidates ain't going to come here to have their rep ruined by getting canned with Nick after 1 year. If we don't figure it out, Mannion had no real head coaching hopes. So if he's fired, it's no big deal. Yeah, well, that's how the plan has worked. Sills, will Sean Mannion have say in the draft this year on the offensive side or partnership? I have zero say. He'll have influence. My style of play and my kind of guy that I would like is this style of play. Howie's going to fill the name on the back of the jersey. The offensive coordinator, the D coordinator, the offensive line coach, all those guys, they don't know these college kids. Some of them may, but a lot of them don't. They're too centric on what they're doing with their guys. What they show is, here's a guy I like. Names on the back of the jerseys for a coach in the pros is irrelevant. Does he do the things I like? Does he do the things I coach? Does he have the skill set I use? Then he looks around and sees what the kid's name is. The kid's name on the back of the jersey is the last thing that a coach gives a shit about. How big is he? How tall is he? How fast is he? What kind of athleticism does he have? Is he good in slide protection? Is he good in pass probe? Is he good in run blocking, zone blocking, fan blocking? Does he get up to the second level? What's the kid's name? That's how you determine what players you put on your team. Because if you did that, all you do is watch game day every Saturday and go, oh, I saw Oklahoma play against Alabama, and I would take one of the kids off those teams. That's how Jalix Hunt got drafted. You think they gave a shit what his name was? They saw the kid. They saw his skill set. They saw potential, and they looked at it, and Vic said, yeah, no, there's something here. Houston Christian? Yeah, nobody gave a shit about the kid's name. Can he play? Even Fangio doesn't have say. No, when Fangio was told that Adoree Jackson was on the team, he goes, yeah, I don't know. He just showed up. I mean, right? Nobody can help the Eagles on offense in the draft. They can't do shit with guys they got. Silson was 279 in well, that's a pretty big increase then. That's $25 million. Usually that cap goes up about $18 million. That's pretty significant. It usually goes up 18, 19 million. For it to go up about 25 million, that's pretty good. 26 million bucks. That's going to help out, by the way, whether or not. Now, remember something with the Eagles on Jalen Phillips. Signing Jalen Phillips is not going to be the price tag. It's going to be what the Eagles want to do. Yeah, I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with the Grizzard hire. I don't. At least the guy's called plays, been in the building. I think he was a scapegoat in Tampa. I covered the team all year. I thought it was more that shitty defense than anything. Senior Bowl is my favorite thing every year. Yeah, well, because you get a chance to see some of the players that are in smaller schools or schools you hadn't seen play against bigger people, and you get a sense of what your draft looks like coming up in April. Eagles actually have one of the best scouting operations in the league. It's gotten better since Rager. Okay? You've drafted an edge that's good in Hunt. You've never really drafted corners. You got two in one draft. The two defensive tackle positions. I said this today. Somebody brought up on the Tampa show about Milton Williams. I said for the life of me, how you have to justify one thing in scouting. One thing I hate about, justifying. The Eagles not only had to let Milton Williams go because of money, they had to let Milton Williams go because they had to justify the two picks at D tackle in back-to-back years. Whatever you thought of Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter, Milton Williams was going to be a casualty no matter what. Because why? You have to justify the 9th and the 13th pick to your owner. Jordan Davis is not a better player right now than Milton Williams. They're the same age. He's more versatile. I could do more with him. I could slide him up and down the line of scrimmage. Jordan Davis is limited. He's going to be a 1 or 0 technique his entire career. Now, combine him with Carter on the other side, you're looking more at the tandem there. And that tandem's probably going to cost you about $50 million. You got to justify that to your owner, why you are going to pay $26 million to a defensive tackle like Milton Williams. And you're going to, draft a guy 13th and the other guy 9th, and you're going to give those two guys combined $50 million? You're not going to justify it that way. You're going to get rid of Milton. Milton was going to be a casualty no matter what, not because those guys are better, because they were drafted higher. Okay? Well, I know this. They're the same age. Sills, is Dean a hit or miss? Well, I'm going to compare him to Kalijah Kancey. So Kalijah Kancey's a defensive tackle in Tampa who's got great ability when he's on the field. He misses half his career. So to me, I'm not building my football team around him. I think he's a bust. But Sills, he's good. I know. Well, shit, son. If you show up to work half the days, are you a contributor to your company? I'd rather take a guy that shows up every single freaking day. He may not be as talented as that guy. At least he shows up. Dean's not a bust. So here, let me show you something. Dean's not a bust. Okay? Well, here, let's take a look at this. Kobe Dean. I'll tell you if the Kobe Dean's a bust or not right now. First and foremost, he's a good player. That's part of it. So here. All right. First year was kind of a wash with the guy. He didn't have any games started. So there's 17 ball games. 0 starts. Second year, games played, he had 5. He played in only 4 games that season. So he missed 13 ball games that season. Okay? So he missed 13 games that year. Following year, he missed 2 games in the playoffs. So he's missed 15 ball games to date. This past season, he started in 8 games. So he missed 9 games. So in his last 3 years, Kobe Dean has missed 24 games out of how many games? Let's see. 17, that's 34. Another 17, 1. So out of 24 games, out of 51 games, he's missed 24 ball games. You tell me. Hey, could play right there. Hey, that's wonderful, man. He could play right there with Shador. Fantastic. Him and Shador. Do you think it's more important for this OC to get the run game going? I know injuries hurt, but the run scheme was just as bland as the pass. Yeah, you got to get the run game going. Yes. Davis, least injured for those 4, but he still goes milk carton way too often. Even though 25 was better. 25 was really good. If the Giants draft Carnell Tate, definitely have a problem. Carnell Tate, Malik Neighbors, the left tackle's great. Probably have to fill in some more old linemen. Got to get a run game going in New York. The defense would improve big time. Dean has played hard under Vic, but he's undersized and gets hurt like our edge rusher. Yeah. I mean, like I said, last 3 years, out of 51 ball games, he's missed 24. You tell me. I don't know. Paying $17 million for that? I think he'd be a great replacement for Levante David. Cheaper price in Tampa. Play for Todd Bowles. And you probably get him for $8-9 million bucks instead of paying $17 million. I can see him down there in Tampa. Putting Hurts and Shador in the same sentence is criminal. Well, they're both Pro Bowlers. You can't do that. So no matter what, you think of Hurts. No, we're talking about the Pro Bowl. The 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts and Shador Sanders. What do you want me to say? Yeah, we live in an era right now, and we live in a country right now where Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler and was named to the Pro Bowl before Hurts. Dean's a good player and a leader on the field. He is. But him missing almost half the games in 24, the playoffs, make him I don't know. It's not a bust. I'll take that back. I love Dean when he plays. I'll take that back. It's not a bust. He's just not reliable. And guess what? I agree with Xander. I think the kid is really good to have on your team. I like him on the team. Okay? Those awards mean nothing now. They still mean something, though, because you know why? They're money. Get this. Well, here, you want to hear this one? In 6 years, Joe Burrow's missed 22 games due to injury, but you won't hear injury bullshit from Dan Sileo. That's why I call him Joe Namath Burrow. You're the dumbest guy I know. How many people in here have heard me call Joe Burrow Joe Namath Burrow? Man, are you dumb? God, your ignorance is so wonderful for the show. You make me look like a savant on how dumb you are. It's wonderful. Keep it up, M. Reyes. I've never had a guy follow my show more or be a part of my show more than people that are as dumb as that dude. He's an all-time dumbass. I mean, if I'm going to put a ring of honor of dumbass guys that come on my show, he's legendary. The ring of dumbass. He's in it. He's the first guy. Big Sills, National Football League, ring of dumbass honor. M. Reyes, king. You're right there, dude. You're the first nominee to go up on the ring of honor for being the dumbest takes in the history of the show. Congratulations to you, dude. I got to hand it to you. This is quite an honor for you to be the first dude to go up on the dumbest ass takes on my show. Congratulations to you, man. From now on, the first man inducted into the dumbass ring of honor, M. Reyes. Give him a round of applause. You know what he gets for it? Knee pads. Knee pads and a whoopee. Oh, and a bink. The ring of dumbass. Oh, my God. Congratulations to you, M. Reyes. I want to tell you, man, I mean, this is quite an honor that, you even get like a robe that you get to wear to the NovaCare Center when you're serving coffee for the Howie. So you get a robe on it that says, like, the ring of dumbass. Oh, my God. So as I heard the Vikings are interested in Burrow. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm interested. I'd watch the annual Sills Awards. Oh, my God, we got to do that. We have to have a year-end show. We do. We have to have a year-end show for you guys. We should have a year-end show. Okay? Yeah, a year-end show. And the induction of Dumbass Reyes into the Ring of Dumbass would be like, we get to bring him on, congratulate him. He gets his bone. Whatever we come up with. JAKIB here. We gotta come up with something here. Here. Bottle of ibuprofen. Maybe that will do. I don't know. An empty Coke can. Congratulations to you, M. Reyes. Here's your award, an empty Coke can. Right? I'm just here to help. Oh, Fireside Chat. We got to do that again too, man. Yeah, they would be called the annual awards. That would be great. We got to do something like. I'll figure it out. I just got here. How much have you been shitting on the hires? Not shitting. Okay, well, wait, Curtis. You hired a guy that's been a coach for 24 months. It's a gigantic swing. it's put the coach, I think, on the hot seat. If it doesn't work, I mean, right? It's on him. He's been a coach for 24 months. What do you think? Shitting on the hire? How can I shit on the hire? I don't know who he is. Seat is burning. Yeah. And listen, I said this too, Curtis. This guy might turn out to be Andy Reid. Okay, good. I'm glad somebody said this. Why do you like to move? No ripping. Oh, wait. Why do you like to move? Oh, yeah, we got to get Bob Lang into that dumbass Ring of Honor. Why do you like to move? I'm assuming. Don't flip-flop later, people. What's flip-flopping? If the guy turns out to be good, everyone's waiting to see if he's good or not. Hey, just because you're a prediction machine, what are you predicting? He's going to be good? So that means you're predicting he's going to be good. Dude spreads the ball? Dude's not the coordinator. What do you mean the dude spreads the ball? Where was he spreading the ball? In Green Bay? That's Matt LaFleur, Jr. Where was he spreading the ball? Where? Dude spreads the ball around? He'll teach Jalen footwork. So after 6 years, Jalen doesn't have footwork? Where was Nick? Where was Shane? Where was Kellen? So in 6 years, Hurts in his 7th year is going to be taught footwork. Wrong what? Wrong what? Wrong what? Wrong what? Got him what? Dude, what the hell are you talking about? Got him what? What, because of your ignorance? What the hell are you talking about? Man. No shit. Another guy who's completely ridiculous. I have no data on this Mannion whatsoever. I just hope he is competent. We need him to be yes, I believe he is. I do. Hey, by the way, for you to impress the Eagles after 18 interviews, I mean, get this. So let me ask you this. You interview for 18 interviews. You land on this. He must have been impressive. I will give you that. Okay? Sills would crap about if the OC, if he was a young Bill Walsh. Well, Bill Walsh was an offensive coordinator under Paul Brown at Cincinnati. And he learned the system with one of the greatest coaches in the history of the National Football League. And he became an offensive coordinator under Bill Walsh with the Bengals. How Bill Walsh got that job in San Francisco was because Eddie DeBartolo was able to identify that he thought this guy was going to become a good coach. And so he had years of being the offensive coordinator under Paul Brown. And when Paul Brown didn't really like the fact that, Walsh was an innovator, Bill Walsh got the job in San Francisco. That's right. He was blackballed from many jobs because of Paul Brown, because Bill Walsh was a savant as a play caller. But let me see. Let me double check that. See how many years he was there as the offensive coordinator. I knew Coach Walsh very well. And just one of the greatest minds, creator of the West Coast offense. So let me see how many years he was there as the offensive coordinator. So in Cincinnati, he was the assistant coach from 68 to 75. He could never become the offensive coordinator, even though he called plays from 68 to 75, because the head coach and OC was Paul Brown. Then he became the offensive coordinator in 76 with the Chargers. Then he became the head football coach of the Stanford Cardinal, became the head football coach of the San Francisco 49ers. He gone and went 3 Super Bowls. So Sean Mannion and Bill Walsh, I don't know. Yeah, they had Greg Cook. Unfortunate what happened to him. West Coast offense practically runs the NFL, will tell you how good Walsh was. Yes. Things that you see with Sean McVay and with Mike Shanahan, and then you saw with LaFleur and all these other guys, all of that spurs back to Bill Walsh and the West Coast offense on being able to spread the ball and play in space. Correct. Absolutely. I like the move because I think he could sprinkle a little McVay and LaFleur style to Sirianni's Jalen style. Okay? Fair enough. When is someone going to teach Baker from making stupid throws? Why does he still do it? I think it's got a lot to do with Baker Mayfield's style of play. I think they want to change that style of play. Hopefully Zach Robinson, the new OC, can do that. I actually think Zach Robinson's okay. I think that's – I don't really see – get this, folks. How many people – before I bring Xander on here, how many people like the Zach Robinson hire in Tampa Bay? If you say yes, then you like the hire in Philly. You know why? They're almost identical offenses. I mean, if you look at Josh Grizzard's numbers from a year ago with the Bucs offense to what you saw with Atlanta's offense, they're pretty compatible. So everybody glazing over Zach Robinson being hired. I mean, there were a ton of injuries on that team in Tampa. Their problems were on defense. Sills, don't let the Jalenites come in here and brag about the Pro Bowl alternate. Hey, I'd take it. Hey, I'd take that. By the way, Hurts playing quarterback against Shador. There you go. Hurts and Shador, the Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Jesus criminy. Nothing on Hurts here with that one. Let's see here. Last one, Z. Sills, projected salary cap. I saw it at 305.7. That's up about $5 million from a year ago. Yeah, that's nice. But again, the salaries are outpacing the increase in the cap. That's where you're going to fall